I want to talk about a channel that I was turned on to a few, maybe 3 months ago. It's called Redacted. It's not. It's not. It's not a. Oh crap! I can't think of. I can't think of his name, but it's not Redacted tonight, but Redacted, and it's hosted by a guy named Clayton Morris. Now he's got his wife Natalie on the show with him. And anyways, I was turned on to it because he's talking about the propaganda, the malicious, malignant malfeasance that the U.S. and the West does, and it's across the board. It's all of the fucking so-called fair and balanced and truth-telling Western media. All of them. I don't care if it's a BBC. I don't care if it's PBS, NPR, or CNN, or the New York Times, or Wall Street Journal, or Los Angeles. I don't care. If they're owned by a corporation, okay, or funded by the Western governments, all they are is a lying propaganda rat. They commit malicious malfeasance and turn people into rabid, ignorant dogs. That's That's all they do. And so, anyways, Redacted with Clayton Morris. You know, I got turned on to him. I actually held off on subscribing because, you know, I've been duped so many times. I mean, like Democracy Now!, right? They do some good work, but the problem is there are certain things, such as when Hong Kong, the so-called Hong Kong democracy, democratic protests were taking place. Democracy Now! Was clearly tone the line of the criminal media and the politicians, and that's not the only time that they've done this, which is why I stopped watching Democracy Now! I mean, PBS NewsHour had a fucking little Nazi, a Ukrainian who was supposed to be a mayor, who had a picture of Stefan Bandera, a fucking little legacy Nazi, in his office, and they blurred the picture of this asshole. So, anyways, the point is, Redacted was growing on me, and Clayton Morris clearly, he was showing the efforts to debunk and deflate all these malicious narratives, these the lying propaganda, and but I was having a problem with his wife, because his wife Natalie kept on spouting little narratives that come straight out of the Western lies. And this is about Xinjiang and the Uyghurs of China and the genocide. I mean, she said it, but Clayton didn't push back on that. Then there is then she mentioned Hong Kong, and Clayton didn't push back on it, and then she went on about the, China hacked Google, except that was also debunked. So I'm glad to see that Clayton brought on Vanessa Beeley, someone, an independent journalist I absolutely, utterly respect, because she does not spew out of her mouth stuff that she doesn't actually research, really dig deep into. Okay, and the thing is Vanessa says it, as well as Daniel Dumbrell and Brian Beletic and all the ones who actually put the effort and they're not spending like 8-9 hours digging up the stuff, right? And actually, Brian Broderick is a phenomenal choice if you go to him. Okay, he breaks down how he sources this information, and he puts it and he puts the links in the descriptions. Great guy. I absolutely love Brian. He's absolutely phenomenal. Daniel Dumbro is spectacular. You know what? And the other thing is they're consistent, and they always use sources directly from the horse's mouth, so to speak. And BT News, Minpress, Gray Zone. Now there's a new one I just got turned on to, People's Dispatch. But even an Abby Martin, an oldie but goodie. But the thing is she kept on doing this, and I wrote comments before I unsubscribed. Natalie, Clayton's wife, Natalie Morris, she kept on spouting this, and I put in comments, like, hey, that's already been debunked. And I even mentioned exactly for what reasons. Yet she kept on making the same. Mistake over and over and over. And these are things that have been around for years now, completely debunking it. And Clayton is clearly trying to deflate and interject truth. And so I was getting rather angry about that and irritated about that, because it's mostly for Clayton's channel, because it was basically deflating the efforts that he was putting into. So, but he had Vanessa Bailey on. I just finished watching it, and as I said, Vanessa, love her work. Whitney Webb, Eva Bartlett. There's a few others. I just can't. Anyways, but one of the things that Vanessa left out was ASPI, the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, which is basically an arms industry and the State Department of the U.S., the British, the Canadians, the Australians, and ASPI literally has all of them. Lockheed Martin, all these, Boeing, and then they even list the intelligence, so-called intelligence, on their site. And so that was one of the Zenz is connected to that, as well as so many other stuff. And never mind the fact that Daniel Dumbro and others have dug deep into Adrian Zenz and what his ideology is. Zenz is a Christian Nazi fascist. All right, that's what he is, and they call him an expert, right? They call him I forget what, but it's complete bullshit. It's complete other bullshit. He doesn't warrant any of the expertise that they give him. Anyways, if I seem irritated, I am, but I'm also happy that Clayton finally covered the stuff that I was commenting on his own channel, and I'm glad to see that Eva was on there, and I'm also glad to see that he didn't have his wife on there. And I don't know why he didn't have his wife on there, but I'm glad he didn't have his wife on there, and I don't know what Natalie's problem is. I just don't get it. I don't think she's a malicious person. Well, I hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping that maybe she does. Maybe she is prejudiced against people that look like me. Because Westerners couldn't tell a Korean from a Japanese to a Vietnamese to a person from Thailand, Laos, Cambodia. Basically, if you look like me, you might as well be Chinese. And I'm Korean. But you get my point. The West people in the West couldn't tell the hand from the assholes when it comes to what an East Asian is. So and I get upset because that's when she spouts that shit on a channel that's trying to deflate the propaganda. And I put multiple comments about that and did it before I am unsubscribed, and even left a comment as to why I was unsubscribing. And I, by the way, resubscribed after this because it vindicated Clayton a little. And the thing is I like Clayton. I respect. I have a somewhat respect for him. Right? I haven't been a Redacted. Somebody who respected Redacted for a while, for a long time. So, again, I'm glad that Clayton did this video, and I hope that he'll push back on his wife, because one thing that Vanessa said is ignorance. She kept on using the word ignorance, and watch the interview with Clayton and Vanessa, because Natalie was clearly spouting ignorance that she could have actually looked up, which I have. One thing I say and I do is that even from my trusted sources, I check to try to verify, and that's how I and I even said you're not doing your due diligence. It's not like it's all that hard to find. But I'm glad Vanessa was on there because she named off Daniel Bumble. She named off Brian. But there's also for a movie. He's a Colombian in China. He's been living there, and he went to Xinjiang and to either debunk or verify the genocide and forced labor and all that other bullshit. And found none of that. But there's the Latinos or Hispanics or Mexicans in China. I mean, there's a lot of Western. There's also Indians. There's also people from Russia. There's also people from Eastern Europe. And they're all they all went. A lot of these people went and completely and utterly destroyed and debunked this stuff. People have to stop listening to the lying media. They really do. It's dangerous. It makes you stupid, and it gets you angry over nothing. I mean, one thing that I didn't know, and then Vanessa brought it up, and I was like, I don't agree with a lot. I don't agree with everything that China does, but China does a lot of stuff right. But China is supporting the blockade in Yemen. China is selling weapons to Saudi Arabia. That I definitely don't agree with. How's that different from what the U.S. and the Europeans are doing? And that's something that the Chinese people should be pushing back on. And not only that, but by the Chinese Constitution, they can do so. They can go after that policy and say, hey, stop that. Because they can do a referendum and say, hey, we don't like that policy. You stop it right now. So, and one thing I'm finding out is that the Chinese are very aware of what's going on in their country and around the world. More so than the people in the West. Probably more so than South Korea, where I was born. And definitely more so than the Japanese. Again, please, I beg you, please, do your due diligence, because it's for your own sake. It's destructive It is destructive. It is murderous. It is everything that if you follow your religion, everything that your religion say is evil and wrong. Lies have started more wars than anything else in history. That's why I always talk about how lies are bad. Even white lies. Now, white lies may not cause a war, but the lies that target the other, or cause members of your community to be bullied, to be threatened, those are destructive. They're dangerous. They're the ones that cause conflict. We cannot tolerate lies, and that's why I'm against that whole freedom of speech bullshit. You're not free to lie. You're not free to color it with negativity. That actually is going to get somebody hurt. That's not free speech. That's not free speech. That's one thing. That's one of the things that I don't like about Jimmy Dore. He's this free speech warrior. But the thing is if it has little life threatening, or destroying you destroying you financially or economically, or is forcing you to go high, that's not fucking free speech. Those are, you're saying, let the liars keep there. The ones who are getting being favored by so-called social media and the media. Another reason why I don't do the whole fucking nonviolent protests, because the people that are getting hurt and killed keeps piling up. There's a lot of shit in the Western ideology that just it makes no logical, rational sense. You think that the nonviolent protest is going to stop violence, or somehow mitigate the, except the violence only gets worse. That's why the mafia uses it. That's why your governments use it, because force and violence, they know it works. This is why I say, if you want change, you need to be forceful. You need to be violent back. Whether and you start by being passionate and forceful, like I always do on these videos. Because then you're telling them, we don't stand for it. We're done with it. Put your money where your mouth is. Don't spout off your shit and say, oh, you're for equality, you're for community, you're for, so don't do that. If all you're gonna do is beg to the fucking criminals who won't change, who won't do it. They have to know fear. And the only way to do that is to come together and show force and say, hey, we've had it. One more. We're not moving and 1 more inch, 1 more centimeter. We will use violence if you force us to. That's the way it works. So the whole point is, Clayton's got to push back. I know it's his wife, but I pushed back on my father. I'm adopted, but he's my father. No parent is perfect, but I mean, and I love my mother and father, but let's face it, ignorance kills. Ignorance destroys. Ignorance takes away a lot, including purpose you could find, including aspirations and dreams you could possibly have. It can destroy you financially, monetarily, physically, everywhere. Ignorance is the enemy. It is the antithesis to finding purpose in life, in having a life. Ignorance only gives us existence. And existence is whoever has control. And we want life, not existence. All right, I'm done with my rant. But as I said, I'm glad that Clayton brought on Vanessa, and to Vanessa and Eva, and to Abby Martin and Max Blumenthal of Gray Zone, and Rania Kalik and her usual co-host. I can't think of his name, from BT News and Mimpress. New Atlas. I don't know if I said that again. But anyways, these are the ones that we should be paying attention to. There's another one. It's a British one, but they're not. Sometimes they spout nonsense, and they don't have the best sometimes on. People's Dispatch. And People's Dispatch has made some mistakes too. But altogether, they have a tendency to speak the facts and truth. And there are facts and truths. And yes, it is pretty black and white. This whole thing with the gray area. There's no gray area. There really isn't. That's another bit of propaganda and conditioning and indoctrination. Gray area. That's the same as the lesser of two evils. There are no lesser of two evils. All you have is two evils. So, anyways, again, I'm done with this particular whatever. All right, thanks.